You want to be respected. You want to frighten them, so forget about it. Watch their breath catch as you enter a room. There were no nods of appreciation or smiles, only stillness. Allow them to be overcome by that silence. Words. They're simple. But deeds? They have a louder voice. Silence, though. My friend, silence is a shout. A cry that stays with them long after you're gone. Humans are predictable. They're not strong. Constantly speaking, constantly attempting to persuade people of their importance. It's a joke. They demonstrate their need for acceptance more and more the more they speak. Everyone else sees it, but they don't. You. Things will be different for you. You refuse to speak. You'll stand there looking empty and blank, as if nothing inside of you counts. Allow them to complete the gaps. You believe that I can teach you how to get power, respect, and fear, which is why you came here. Do you believe you need additional words or tactics to reach inside their minds? Here's where you're mistaken. You already have all you need, in actuality. They have misled you. You've been taught your entire life that the best way to succeed is to talk, explain, and plead for respect. How are things going for you? You've been conversing and making an effort to follow their guidelines, but where has it led you? Not at all. Why? Words are for the weak, after all. The desperate. You don't require their consent. Silence is what you need. Icy, unforgiving quiet. You have been duped by them. All your life, you've been taught that talking, explaining, and begging for respect is the greatest way to achieve. How are you finding things? You've been talking to them and trying to go by their rules, but where has it taken you? Absolutely not. Why? After all, words are for the desperate and the weak. You don't need their approval. You need to be quiet. A cold, merciless silence. To put it plainly, nobody is interested in you. Not at all. They will shake your hand, smile, and act as though you are important, but as soon as you turn your back, they stop caring about you. That's the reality. And that is the source of your power. When you lose interest in them. When you no longer require them. They start to dread you at that point. Someone they are powerless over. You have been attempting to conform to a system that was not designed with you in mind. Following the script in the hopes that you will receive what is rightfully yours if you abide by their guidelines. However, that is not how the world operates. What you deserve is unimportant to the world. Who is willing to take what they desire without asking for permission is what matters. Silence is necessary in this situation. You'll discover that they're afraid of silence once you stop talking and responding to everything they do. What they don't understand is too much for them to manage. They dread you more the less you give them. Consider the number of times you have spoken and then regretted it. Every time you speak, they have another chance to misinterpret what you're saying and turn your own words against you. However, you deprive the quiet of their power if you remain mute and allow them to speak for themselves. You give them nothing. You may be asking yourself, how will they recognize me if I don't speak up? How can they show me respect? They want you to fall into that trap. They want you to believe that in order to be heard, you must yell. In actuality, however, your presence becomes louder the quieter you are. Have you ever witnessed someone enter a room and immediately draw attention without uttering a single word? Control is that. Power is that. Being silent isn't enough, you also need to consider what that silence represents. You're telling the world that you don't need to explain yourself when you remain silent. What others think doesn't matter to you. They are frightened by that. They depend on your concern. They want you to respond, to participate. However, when you deny them that, when you remain silent, expressionless, and emotionless, they begin to doubt everything. You have won at that point. The majority of people are feeble. They lack confidence. They speak because they fear being silent. They react as a result of their inability to cope with silence. However, things will be different for you. You will be the one who makes a statement without speaking. It will be you who remains unflinching in the face of a storm. Allow them to speak and attempt to agitate you. You refuse to give in to their demands. You'll remain composed and silent. They will despise you as a result. Because you are not under their authority. They are unable to forecast you. They are unable to enter your mind. And you want precisely that. There is more to silence than merely the lack of sound. It's a weapon. A strong one. There is nothing they can do to stop you once you learn to use it. They will be afraid of you because of what you don't say and do, not because of what you say or do. The unknown will frighten them. What's running through your mind? The best part is that kids will invent their own anxieties and nightmares. Have you noticed that when individuals are anxious, they tend to talk more? When are they afraid? This is a result of their inability to cope with silence. They will continue to unravel and reveal their own flaws the longer you remain silent. At that point, you strike. Not via words or deeds, but just by being there. You will be the one who can be heard without shouting or pounding your fist. When you enter a room, everyone will sense you before they even see you. Additionally, they will still be discussing you after you leave, not because of anything you said, but rather because of what you chose not to say. It's not simple. It requires self-control. Power. Your instinct will be to respond, to speak up, and to protect oneself. You must, however, resist. You must have the strength to overcome your own feelings. Remain composed. Remain still. Keep quiet. Because you gain power each time you do. You weaken them each time you decline to participate. The worst part is that they become more desperate the harder they press. They will do all in their power to agitate you. Threats, insults, and possibly even violence. However, you cannot be touched. You don't have to establish your worth. You don't have to explain why you are here. They only need your silence as evidence. They will eventually shatter. The strain and the weight of their own fears will cause them to lose their temper. You have won at that point. Not because you retaliated. Not because you defended yourself or argued. But because you didn't say anything. You remained in charge. And that is the main thing that frightens them. Silence does not imply weakness. Suffering is not silence. It's a tactic. It's allowing the world's cacophony to drift by while you remain steadfast and unflinching, like a mountain in the midst of a tempest. You're not going to give up the battle. You're picking a weapon that's more lethal than words or fists. Because no insult may pierce as deeply as silence. It persists. And that's the source of your power. You cause people to doubt themselves. Your quiet resolve makes them feel insignificant. Furthermore, they won't comprehend it until it's too late. Fear is bred by silence. Because people are afraid of the unknown. What is beyond their control? They lose control when you stop responding to them and when you stop playing their games. They go into a panic. They go in a spiral. People require responses. They require criticism. For them to feel secure in their own little bubbles, they must be aware of how you're feeling. However, they will sink in their own insecurities and anxiety if you remain unreadable and unresponsive. They will begin to wonder, what is he thinking? What plans does he have? And it gnaws at them more the longer they are in the dark. Quietness is a reflection. It compels people to face their vulnerabilities and concerns. That's what makes it so beautiful. You don't need to speak. You are not required to raise your hand. Simply remain motionless, silent, and allow them to ruin themselves. Let them fall apart. You win that way. By forcing them to fight themselves rather than by engaging in combat with them. And believe me, they will never prevail in that battle. The loudest individual isn't always the strongest in this world. The weakest person is the one who talks the most, boasts the most, and creates the most noise. They are attempting to persuade themselves and others of their importance. The true power, however, is with the one who remains silent and doesn't feel the need to prove anything. Thus, cease speaking. Don't react. Give up playing their game. Remain still. Keep quiet. Allow your silence to do the talking. Allow it to become their greatest dread. They will fear you when they eventually understand that they cannot control or break you. Not due to your statements. Nonetheless, because of what you omitted.